What if I told you that the qualities that make a man absolutely irresistible to a woman are not about looks, money, or smooth talk? What if they were hidden in plain sight, in ancient wisdom, in the calm of a man's soul, in the fire of quiet purpose, in the simple courage to be real? You've probably been told that being attractive is about status or power or pretending to be someone you're not. But deep down, something tells you there's more, that what truly draws a woman to a man is something timeless, something deeper, something almost sacred. That's what you're about to discover. Not tricks, not pickup lines, but real transformation. So sit back, let everything else fade for now, breathe. What you're about to hear may challenge you. It may stir something inside you that you haven't felt in years. But if you lean in, if you stay with me until the end, you'll see the world and yourself differently. You'll begin to carry something in your presence that no woman can ignore, even if she tries. There's a rare kind of man who doesn't need to speak loudly to be heard. He doesn't chase attention. Attention follows him. His presence feels like calm in chaos, like a lighthouse in a storm. That kind of man has mastered something most never will, the art of calm. He doesn't let anger drive his decisions. He doesn't crumble under pressure. He doesn't react with noise when the world screams. Instead, he pauses, he breathes, he thinks, then he moves. Slowly, deliberately, intentionally. Women notice that. They feel it before he even speaks, and it draws them in because deep inside every woman is a longing for safety, not just physical, but emotional. She wants to know that the man she's near is stable, that he won't explode when things go wrong, that his calm is not fake, but earned. And when you carry that kind of composure, you become the peace in her chaos, the grounding in her whirlwind. It's not about suppressing feelings, it's about controlling your responses. It's knowing that you are not your anger, your stress, or your panic. You are the one who chooses how to act, and that choice is everything. But calm alone isn't enough. A man who simply sits still, who avoids conflict, who waits for life to happen to him, fades into the background. What makes calm magnetic is when it is paired with direction. A man with a mission, a man who knows where he's going, who wakes up with a sense of purpose, who doesn't just talk about ideas but moves toward them, even if it's slow, even if it's messy. A man with a vision is like fire in the cold. His passion pulls people in, not because he's loud, but because he's alive. He's building something. Maybe it's a business, maybe it's art, maybe it's simply becoming a better man every single day. But he's not standing still. And when a woman sees that kind of fire, she doesn't just admire it. She wants to be near it. She wants to be part of it. Because it means something. It means this man is not just surviving, he's becoming. So many men wander through life waiting for someone to give them direction. But the men who are truly desired are those who create direction, who lead even if no one's watching, who don't just follow trends, but follow truth, their own calling, and they carry themselves like it matters, because it does. Now, you might think that strength means having it all together, being perfect, never showing weakness, but that's a lie. Real strength, the kind that touches hearts and earns respect, is found in vulnerability, in the quiet courage to say, I don't know, I'm scared, I failed, and I'm still learning. The Stoics said it best. The more you accept what you cannot control, the more power you have. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's the deepest kind of bravery. When you show a woman who you really are, not just your victories, but your wounds, something powerful happens. Her guard drops because you've taken off your armor first. And suddenly, she doesn't feel like she has to perform or impress or hide. She feels seen. She feels safe. And safety leads to trust. And trust leads to connection. And connection? That's where desire truly lives. Any man can wear a mask, but few are brave enough to take it off. When you do, you don't lose power. You gain it, because now your power is real, rooted, not borrowed from lies, but born from truth. But if you want to be irresistible, you also need one thing most never dare to chase: discipline. Not the loud, punishing kind, but the quiet kind. The man who rises early when no one is watching, who does what he said he would do, who trains his body not to impress but to honor it, who keeps his word to others, yes, but most importantly to himself. A disciplined man becomes dangerous, not because he's violent, but because he cannot be manipulated. He doesn't beg. He doesn't crumble when tested. He doesn't seek shortcuts. He plays the long game, and women sense that. It shows in how you eat, how you speak, how you handle rejection, how you show up even when it's hard. It's not about perfection, it's about effort. Daily, steady, often unseen, but always felt. Your consistency becomes your character, your habits become your aura. And in a world full of boys chasing quick highs, you become a man she can lean on, trust in, and admire from the depths of her soul. But don't mistake discipline for coldness. The most irresistible men are also deeply kind, not weak, not people-pleasing, but kind by choice. He speaks with respect. He listens without interrupting. He protects the dignity of others, even when he disagrees. And that kind of kindness, it's rare, it's noble, it's unforgettable. In ancient times, warriors were respected not just for how they fought, but for how they treated the helpless. Kindness was their crown, and it can be yours too. The way you treat the waitress, the way you speak to a child, the way you forgive someone who doesn't deserve it. These moments define you. And she's watching, even when she says nothing, because kindness reveals your heart. And your heart, not your face, is what echoes in her memory long after you've gone. Now add to that a trait even more powerful: humility. The man who thinks he knows it all repels others, but the man who keeps learning, who listens more than he talks, who says, "I was wrong," becomes rare. And rarity is attractive. Humility means you grow, you adapt, you evolve, and a man who evolves never becomes boring, never becomes stale. He surprises her, not with gifts, but with growth. And women don't just fall in love with who you are, they fall in love with who you're becoming. When she sees that you're on a journey, not of ego, but of wisdom, she knows that life with you won't be stagnant, it will be alive. Humble men inspire. They don't need to dominate because they elevate. And that energy, it's unforgettable. But perhaps the rarest and most magnetic trait is presence, the ability to be here, fully. When she speaks, you don't glance at your phone. When she cries, you don't fix her, you hold space. When she laughs, you join her, not to distract, but to connect. Most men are half there, half in their heads, half chasing distractions, but a present man, he is all in. His eyes listen, his silence comforts, his attention feels like love. And that feeling, it's addictive. Because in a world that is constantly elsewhere, to be fully here is to be unforgettable. And finally, there's this, a man with deep self-respect. He doesn't chase love, he becomes love. He doesn't beg for validation, he knows his worth. He doesn't need to be chosen, he chooses himself every day. And from that wholeness, he attracts a woman who respects him deeply, because he respects himself. He says no to what dishonors him. He walks away from what drains him. He builds a life that feels like home and invites her in, not to complete him, but to share in the beauty he's already creating. Self-respect is silent power. You don't announce it, you live it. and it changes everything. Now take a breath. Let all of this settle, because what you've just heard are not tips. They're truths. Not gimmicks, but guidelines. Not for boys chasing approval, but for men building legacy. And if you begin to walk this path, not perfectly, but with intention, you will notice something shift. Women will look at you differently. The world will respond to you differently. Because you are different. You're not becoming attractive. You're becoming real. And real is rare. Real is magnetic. Real is what stays when everything else fades. So ask yourself, what kind of man do you want to be? Not just in her eyes, but in your own. Start there, build there, live there, and the rest will follow. Because when you become the kind of man who lives by truth, moves with purpose, loves with courage, and stands with grace, nothing and no one can ignore your presence. And that is irresistible.